You're tuned in to Ronversations, the podcast where real talk meets real change straight from the heart of Santa Fe. I'm your host, Ronald S. Trujillo, candidate for mayor in the 2025 Santa Fe election. Ronversations dives into the issues that matter most to our community, from public safety to affordable housing, local jobs to transparent government, and everything in between. No scripts, no spin, just honest dialogue and bold ideas for a resilient Santa Fe. This is a space for open conversation, real solutions, and a shared vision for our city's future. Glad you're here. Let's talk. Buenos dias, Santa Fe, and welcome to Ronversations, Santa Fe Unfiltered. This is episode number 3. And so I am honored today to have here with us Lily Duran. Lily, would you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where do you go to school and, what do you do?
So my name is Lily Duran. I go to school at Acequia Madre Elementary, and I really like it here in Santa Fe. Some things I do is I like to go to the park and play some basketball a lot of the time, and I just have a lot of fun.
You have a lot of fun here in Santa Fe. You like Santa Fe very well.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, we'll have a little talk about this. I know your mom and dad. I know them very well. I went to school with your mom. We went to Kearney, and then we both were also at catechism back in the day at St. Francis Cathedral. And I know your dad as well. They went to St. Mike's. And I said, I went to Santa Fe High. Of course, I'm a demon, But, so you go to Acequia Madre. And another thing that's really awesome is you live on Canyon Road as well, don't you?
Yeah.
I said, you're one of the few families that are still own their own home on Canyon Road. It's not a gallery; it's your home, and beautiful part of Santa Fe. Beautiful part, So Lily, so tell me, what are the things you like best here in Santa Fe for kids? That you like to go. Do you like to go to the parks? You like to go to I know they have the museums as well. What do you like to do here in Santa Fe?
I do like to go to the history museum here and look at some of the exhibits there.
Okay.
Like playing basketball at the park, and I like going to the library and checking out some books. I like it here in Santa Fe because the scenery is really beautiful because we have lots of trees and bushes all around. And
so let me ask you this: are there any things you think that the city of Santa Fe needs to do in order to make Santa Fe a more kid-friendly city?
I think they need to make sure garbage and unsafe things are picked up, sharp pieces of glass that kids could hurt themselves on, and some uneven sidewalks and grass and ground that are very easy to trip on.
Okay. Well, when I was on the city council back in the day, I was part of the councilors that put together Parks Fund, and we were able to go out to the voters here in Santa Fe and get a $30 million parks fund so we could fix our parks here in Santa Fe. So at the time, they were really, I would say, they were dilapidated. They weren't being taken care of, and we were able to go throughout the city, and each councilor in each district was able to pick certain parks. And the parks that I was dealing with was with Franklin Miles, Regal. We actually built some pocket parks, including the Martin Luther King Jr. Park. So parks are very, very, dear to me because when I was young, I used to play baseball at these parks, especially Franklin Miles, which back when we were young, we knew it as National Guard Park because the National Guard was right behind it. So some of the stuff you bring up are really important, and they're important to kids, right?
Yeah.
Why are they important to kids? Tell me.
Because at parks we have a place to play because there are lots of equipment and open space, and it's really safe in parks usually because it's a closed area where dogs sometimes come on leashes and walk around, and kids are pretty safe in parks, so they have room to play and run around.
And it's good for exercise as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want our kids to be active, so they're getting the right exercise, getting a lot of sunshine, vitamin D. That's good for the body, So you tell me, Lily. Uh, are what other things do you think the city of Santa Fe needs to do? You've told me about parks and all that. You say that you go to museums and all that. Are there any other things you personally you would like to see the city of Santa Fe possibly make or do? Like I said, because we want to make Santa Fe a kid friendly city. When me, your mom, and dad were growing up here in Santa Fe, it was a different time. Back then it wasn't the age of computers where everybody was on their cell phones. Back then we used to ride our bikes. We used to stay out with our friends, and when the street lights came on, that was my how could I say that? That was when I knew that I had 15 minutes that I better get home, or my dad would be, calling around asking, where's Ronnie at? So it was a different time. I try to say our generation was probably the last generation between computers and all this technology. We were the last generation that didn't have all this technology that you're very fortunate to have. I mean, don't get me wrong. The technology that we have now is fascinating, and I can just imagine as you grow, the more technology we're going to have. So let me know. Tell me, what you think the city should do.
I think the city they could like maybe sometimes I see like bottles floating in the rivers.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe they could help filter out the water system a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like some of the parks need a bit some more benches
Okay.
because like there's just like open land nowhere for people to sit if they don't want to sit on the ground.
Okay, so these are good ideas, and this is what I need to hear, from you as a constituent. I know you're not old enough to vote, but you're still a constituent of the city of Santa Fe, and it's important. I tell everybody we have to listen to everybody in our city. Doesn't from the kids, teenagers, all the way up to our senior citizens. We need to understand what's happening in the city, what's working, what's not working, and we need to make sure that we address those issues for all of those ages, and how we can improve Santa Fe. So let me ask you a question here. Do you do a lot of fishing?
Uh, I used to,
You
and
used to?
yeah, it's really fun.
Okay.
I really like to fish because I like casting out the rod, and, like waiting for a bite, then reeling it in.
That's awesome. Well, I'm a huge fly fisherman. I love to fly fish throughout northern New Mexico. It's great. So, by chance, I don't know. You're how old are you now?
I'm 11 years
You're
old.
11 years old. You would have been the last time we had our fishing derby. Did you know that we had a fishing derby here in Santa Fe?
Oh, no, I didn't.
You didn't know that? Well, back in 2008, I started a fishing derby here in the city of Santa Fe for the youth. So every year we would release water from the reservoirs, that we have up in the hills above Santa Fe, and we would let it come down the Santa Fe River, and we would dam up certain sections of the Santa Fe River but as we all know it, the old telephone company, and kids would go there and they'd fish, and they'd actually be able to catch a trout in their river. Unfortunately, over the past few years, this administration hasn't deemed it important enough to continue. And that's one thing that, when I become mayor, I'm definitely going to, start that tradition again, because it's a wonderful tradition. It allows children like you to be in their Santa Fe River, spend a day with their family and catching fish. So you think that's a good idea?
I think it's a very good idea.
Get you and your dad and mom out there, catching some fish, and then that evening you guys could all have a fish fry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. So Lily, what other things would you like to see the city do that to improve the lives of children of your age?
I think to improve some lives of children,
Of your age, yes, your
yeah,
age especially.
I think there should be like more places that are have fun activities that are still safe for like people who have kids who have disabilities, like have missing appendages, like arms that are gone and need to be in wheelchairs.
That why I think that is a great thing, because when I was on the council, that's one thing that we made sure that we put certain swings at certain parks that will allow children, with disabilities, for them to be able to, get into a swing and swing. We need to make that more accessible, like merry-go-rounds, where we'd be able to bring a wheelchair and put it in there, so that child could have the same kind of fun. So that's great that you're thinking about those children that have disabilities, and so that they can have fun as well at parks. So that's awesome that you have that thinking. It shows me that you were brought up with some great values by your mom and dad. That's a good thing to have. So Lily, are there any questions you might want to ask me?
Yes.
I know. I saw this little paper here. So you feel free to ask me any question you want.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Some of the questions I have are like, do you have a plan to make the city parks safer for kids to play in?
Most definitely. One of the things we want to do is we're going to do. It's called a forensic audit at the very beginning when I get into the mayor's office. And what that is going to do is that's going to look at all departments throughout the city to see what's working and what's not working. And especially when you talk about parks, we're gonna do an assessment of all the parks throughout the city of Santa Fe. See what's working in one park, what may not be working in one park. We're gonna identify things that are not good in certain parks, and we're definitely gonna. It takes time. It can't happen right overnight, but we definitely will address those issues, ensuring that they're safe for everybody. Kids, adults alike. Because we want to have safe parks. We want to ensure that our parks are safe, our parks are clean, and our parks are welcoming to all the citizens of Santa Fe and to our visitors as well. What other question?
Do you have ideas about how to make Santa Fe more kid friendly?
More kid friendly. See, those are the things. That's why I'm asking you these questions, because you being a kid, you have all these ideas in your head, and what needs to be done. There are certain things that I would love to see. I wish we could. How can I say? I wish there was like go-kart places. There are places, trampoline places. And you see these in some of the bigger cities like Albuquerque. What I want to do is I want to also make Santa Fe business friendly, and so I want to have those outreach to a lot of these businesses that cater to children's activities, and see if, hey, what's it going to take for you to come to our city of Santa Fe and open a place like back in the days we had Quiggies, but down in Albuquerque they have the main event. They have what can't think of where they play golf, Top Golf. There's a lot of places there that we can really do and see if we can bring these things into Santa Fe. We have to make sure that we have the space to put it. But one thing that we definitely need to do is we need to reach out to these businesses, and talk to them and say, what's it going to take for you to come to Santa Fe? And like I said, let's bring some kid friendly activities, kid friendly, businesses that cater to the children. So, is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else?
Yes. What will you do to help kids with special needs?
Well, those are the things too. We have to look at, like our parks. We have to make sure that like our parks are more accessible to everyone. We have to look at children, people with disabilities as well. How do we ensure that our city, is safe and it's accommodating for those people? So definitely, my administration will definitely look at all aspects of things happening here in Santa Fe, and how we make, again, Santa Fe, friendly for those people with disabilities. Okay. Anything else you want to ask or anything?
Yes.
Okay, keep on asking.
How will you improve like the uneven sidewalks around the schools?
Around the schools. Okay, well, see, if it's around the schools and if it's in the school, we have to talk with the schools. We have to have that conversation. There's a certain thing, a separation of government. You have the schools that have, their government and the city, if it fell on the border of like a sidewalk running past a school, that would probably fall under the city's a purview, and we would have to fix it. We'd have to make sure that it's good. If it's within the school, that falls with the schools, and they have to, but again, too, one of the things that I'm going to do here with and I've talked about it many times during this campaign, it's called collaboration. And I want to be speaking to the county, I want to be speaking to the state, and I want to be speaking to the schools. I want us to have meetings, quarterly meetings, so that we know what each one of us is doing. Because when we all know what each one is doing, it's going to make the lives of the people and us a better city, because we're working together. We're not working against each other. We're collaborating to ensure that our citizens are taken care of in all aspects of government. And as I said, city, county, state, and with schools. So the thing about it, what we will do is, during all this time that we're doing these forensic audits, we're going to be going throughout the whole city of Santa Fe, and we're going to be doing like check marks and seeing, what's broken, if there's a sidewalk, and if it falls under the purview of the city, we're definitely going to have to fix it. But again, there we have to look at funding and where that funding source is going to come from. Is there enough money to do it? And this is when the mayor and the city council, they work together, to do this. But again, too, is we also have to go talk to our state legislatures, because they have, they appropriate funding at the state level that trickles down, to the cities to help us maintain our city as well. So again, there's going to be that collaboration with the city, talking to our legislatures on how they can help us as well.
Yes. Since you brought this up earlier about bringing the fishing derby back,
Okay.
How do you plan on doing that?
Well, again, too, what we do is we work with staff. When I was on the council, our parks division, they were so responsive. They would go there, and in fact, we'd have Youth Works. Youth Works is an organization here in Santa Fe, and they would come out and they would actually help us build dams along the Santa Fe River, so that when the water came, it would pull up. We'd have these nice pools, where we were able, to the fish would be, stored. Well, they would be there so that the kids were able to go fishing and all that. So yeah, we're definitely going to bring back the fishing. That is something that is dear to my heart. But the thing that what you have to understand is, in years of drought, we may not have the fishing derby, because one of the things I wrote in the ordinance, when in the resolution when we were doing it, and I ensured that should there be a drought and should water not be available in our reservoirs, as water is a very precious resource to us, I would make sure that water went first to the people of Santa Fe, because we drink water, we use it to clean, we use it to water our crops, or our flowers and all that. So I would ensure that water was first made available to our residents. And if there was a drought, well, those are the times when you have to say, hey guys, we're not going to be able to have the fishing derby this year because of the drought, but we look at what our snowpack is up in the mountains, and we hope, that's what we always hope, that we have great snowpack. And unfortunately this year, I don't know what the snowpack's going to be like. It doesn't look like it's all that good. So these are the things that we have to look at. And another thing that was great is when I was on the city council, and I always give kudos to this man, and that's former Representative Luciano Lucky Varela. I had a really good relationship with Lucky, and he was always one of the co-sponsors of our fishing derby. And what the nice thing about it with Lucky is Representative Varela used to always contact the Game and Fish prior to us having the fishing derby, and he would ensure that the Game and Fish was aware that the fishing derby was going to be taking place, and he would make sure that the fish were there at the certain time, and that the day before, so we could stock the river. So I know you probably didn't know, Representative Varela, but very important man, this part of New Mexico, and he was a representative. He represented parts of Santa Fe, and a very, very well respected man, and he did a lot of good here. And I was honored that I could call him my friend, and he did a lot of good. And But like I said, I want to start having get those relationships. As I've been out of the city council for many years, I know a lot of the representatives, but I've got to go out there and reach out to them, and I want them to be part of this as well, because again, the collaboration that I talked about, I want to be able to collaborate with them, so that if we do put on the fishing derby, and when we're going to put it on, but again, I told you the reasons why it might not happen, but we want to make sure that when we do it, it's done right, it's done safe, and that we have all the resources, and that we put it on right. Anything else?
That's all.
That's all. Well, those were awesome questions. I should be very proud of those questions, because they're important, and because of your questions, this is what, like I told you, I need to know what children are thinking about Santa Fe, and how like I said, how we can make Santa Fe a better place. And this interview that me and you are having, is very vital to my campaign, because I'm able now, to I'm going to look back at this video, this podcast me and you had, and I'm going to take notes. And this way, during the campaign, these are things that my team will be talking about. So first of all, I want to thank you, bottom of my heart, for coming on to Ronversations. Is there anything you would like to say, to the audience out there before we leave?
Yes, thank you for watching this, and
anything else? You're good? Okay. Well, anyways, again, Lily, thank you. I want to thank your mom and dad for bringing you, and I appreciate you coming on and, and having this conversation with me. It's been a help to me, and it's going to be a help to the city of Santa Fe. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, adios Santa Fe!